Throughout history, the dynamics of power between men and women have shaped societies in profound ways. This intricate relationship often reveals how men have exerted control over women, influencing their roles, rights, and freedoms. Today, we delve into the mechanisms of this control, exploring how various cultures and societies have maintained these power dynamics over centuries. To begin, we must understand that control has taken many forms, from legal frameworks to cultural norms. In ancient civilizations, such as those in Mesopotamia and Egypt, laws were explicitly designed to limit women's rights. For instance, the Code of Hammurabi established clear distinctions between the roles of men and women, reinforcing a patriarchal society where men held property rights and legal authority, while women were often seen as dependents. This legal structure not only controlled women's economic independence, but also dictated their social status. As we transition into the classical era, we see similar patterns emerge in Greece and Rome. In Greece, women were largely excluded from public life, confined to domestic roles. The male-dominated ideologies of the time painted women as inferior, a belief that was justified through philosophical discourse. Thinkers like Aristotle argued that women were naturally suited for subservience, reinforcing their lack of agency. Roman society, while slightly more progressive in some areas, still upheld patriarchal values. The concept of paterfamilias granted the male head of the household absolute power over family members, including wives and daughters. This systemic control was not just a societal norm, but was deeply ingrained in the legal framework. As we move into the Middle Ages, the control over women continued, albeit with different justifications. The rise of Christianity introduced a new set of beliefs that further regulated women's behavior. The Church emphasized the importance of chastity and obedience, often portraying women as temptresses who needed to be controlled to maintain societal order. This perspective created a moral framework that justified the subjugation of women, as their worth was often measured by their purity and obedience to male authority. The Renaissance and Enlightenment periods brought about significant shifts in thought, yet women's positions remained largely unchanged. While men like John Locke advocated for individual rights and liberty, these ideas seldom extended to women. The intellectual revolution did spark early feminist thoughts, but the societal structures remained resistant to change. In many cases, the advancements made by men were at the expense of women, who were still expected to adhere to traditional roles. Fast forward to the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution transformed not only economies, but also gender dynamics. As men moved into the workforce, women often found themselves in low-paying factory jobs, yet they were still expected to fulfill domestic duties. This dual burden kept women in a state of dependency, where their economic contributions were undervalued and their social roles were diminished. The suffrage movement began to gain momentum, advocating for women's right to vote and participate in politics, yet the struggle for equality was met with fierce resistance. In the 20th century, the two world wars acted as catalysts for change. Women stepped into roles traditionally held by men, proving their capabilities beyond domestic confines. However, once the wars ended, many were pushed back into traditional roles, as society sought to restore the status quo. The post-war period witnessed a resurgence of conservative values that aimed to reinforce male dominance and control over women's lives. Today, while significant strides have been made toward gender equality, the remnants of historical control can still be observed. The concept of toxic masculinity highlights how societal expectations of male behavior continue to perpetuate power imbalances. Issues such as pay gaps, representation in leadership roles, and the prevalence of gender-based violence are stark reminders that the struggle for equality is far from over. But what does this mean for the future? The ongoing evolution of gender dynamics suggests that while progress has been made, vigilance and action are required to dismantle the systems that perpetuate inequality. As we reflect on history, it becomes clear that understanding the mechanisms of control is essential in the fight for equality. This awareness empowers new generations to challenge outdated norms and advocate for a more equitable society. As we wrap up our exploration of how men have historically controlled women, it's important to consider how these patterns can be disrupted. Challenging societal norms and advocating for equal rights is not just the responsibility of women, but of everyone. By fostering open dialogues about gender dynamics and supporting policies that promote equality, we can begin to shift the narrative toward one of empowerment and mutual respect. If you found this exploration of gender dynamics intriguing, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Together, we can continue to unravel the complexities of history and strive for a better future.